Exercise 3 PDF is going to tell you to create a layer named logos. So what you need to do is open the exercise3.eps file within Illustrator. So File, Open that file. Open your layers palette, and you'll see that there's one layer. You want to lock that. So you go over to the left of where it says layer 1, next to the eye, and click there. That's locked. So you're not going to change that. Double click the layer and dim the images to 30% so that you can see what you're working on. Then create a new layer, and that's going to be your working layer. Work large enough that you can see what you're doing. So spacebar command, spacebar control on the PC, and enlarge the area. So if you look closely at this, you've got a spiral and you've got this eye shape. That's two objects. So you need to create two objects to make that. So with the pen tool, and turn off the fill and work in color. Don't work in black and white so that you can see what you're doing. Then right on top of that template, create that shape, hold down the Option key, move that handle, and come down to the end and make another point. Then with the Direct Select tool, come back and edit your path so that it follows that shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now for the spiral, you could try drawing a spiral, and it's a pain. So find the spiral tool, which I'm going to search for. Under the line segment tool, choose the spiral tool. Place your cursor at the start of that spiral and just click. Don't click and drag, just click. And it's going to come up with a dialog box. And I'm just going to guess 8. Say OK. With the regular selection tool, the black arrow, rotate that into place so it's just kind of close. You can scale it so that it fits a little bit better. Bring it in so it's relatively within the center of that. And with the Direct Select tool, you can start to edit these points. So it's inside of that spiral. Edit the path. So you just want to push on this, move it around, get it close. Okay, so I've got an anchor point here that I don't need. So if I go to the Pen Delete Anchor Point tool, I can just delete that. Then again, back to the Direct Select, bring that closer. You can push on the actual path itself to smooth it out a bit. Place the ends a little bit inside. And you want these to be pretty close, if not touching. So with the normal selection tool, drag across your paths. And then with the stroke palette, you're going to change the cap so it's a rounded end. And then increase the weight of it till it's thick enough so that it matches the template. Then you're going to go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. And what that does, it converts it into an object. If you notice, the center line disappeared, and now it's just an object. With both those selected on your Pathfinder, and if you're working in Essentials Classic, you'll see these choices like my screen. And on the Pathfinder, you want to unite those. And if you notice where they connected, now it's just one. And for the text, don't try to draw the text. Just click, don't drag out a box. Point type, just click. This is dummy type. It just shows you what's going to happen. Center align it. Make it larger. So it's roughly the size you want. It's already highlighted. So with your caps lock on, type Time Warner. And if you've got a pink background like I do, that means that font's not on your system. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to choose a font that's relatively similar. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and if you want to be careful, if you want to be exacting, you can adjust the tracking so that it's relatively close. Use your arrow key to bump it over. That's good enough. So that's the first step. So slide over with the space bar, the grabber hand, so you can move the next element into the center of your screen. Now you're just going to trace this. You're going to use the pen tool. And this doesn't have to be perfect. This is an exercise in the pen tool. So I typically start where I've got some corners. I'm just going to lay down points. And I do not want fill on. I want just one stroke. Again, I'm going to work in a color. So I can start to lay these down. It didn't take the way I wanted it. And just get this close. You're just going to lay down points. You can come back and edit them afterwards. So this is a corner going into a curve. So I'm going to click and drag here. The Option key modify that handle. And the trick to working with points, Bezier curves, is you want to jump across these curves as much as possible. Option key, bring it around. Just get it close. Option key. Option key. The fewer points that you lay down, the fewer points you have to edit later. You can make these work. Okay, so it looks relatively sloppy. Okay, goofed up. Delete that point. Come back to the last point. Click and drag, and it'll continue. You don't have to start over. Option key, make that a corner. If you need to add points, you can do that later. So each of these, when we get to the end, okay, that's annoying. My screen is jumping in and out. Just lay these points down. And the more you do this, the more you can anticipate what it's going to do. So once you got all your points in, just going to come back with the direct select tool, and you can start to edit them. Just one by one, take those handles and bring them close to what you need. So you can make this look how it's supposed to. This does not have to be perfect. Swing and a miss. Just try again. Okay, this is red on red, which is making it difficult to see. So I'm going to change my stroke color, so I can see the handles while I'm working on it. You have to be able to see these handles. And also, don't forget you can push on the line itself. Just manipulate this until it's where you want it to be. Okay, so good enough. Change that to a fill. That's done. So the third element, if you look closely at this, the trick with Illustrator is to look and see shapes, because you're creating shapes. You're making shapes with everything. So the ABC, you've got a ring and a rectangle, a ring and a rectangle, a ring and a rectangle cutting through it on top of a circle. So I'm going to create two circles. I'm going to hold the Option key, click and start dragging, and then hold the Shift. Because more easily imagine where the center is than try to guess where it is off of a corner. And it'll highlight when I'm in the center again. Make a second circle on top. Okay, and then I'm going to select both and fill those. Then with the Pathfinder, and I don't have all my choices there, I'm going to open that up. I'm going to divide it. Divide it cuts wherever an object overlaps. And it also immediately groups them, which is something to remember. So now you have to use the group select to select an object that's been grouped. Now you can delete that. Now I have a ring. I'm going to dupe this. Hold down the Option key, click and drag that, hold down the Shift key so it slides sideways. And then if you've done that once, you can do it again. So under Object, Transform, Transform again. And if you notice, there's a shortcut, Command D. And it'll do that again. Whatever you've just done, it'll do it again. So it's off a little bit. I can use the arrow key to bump it into place. There's my 3 rings. So now with the rectangle tool, I'm going to make the A and the B. If I start on the inside, it's easier to get those to line up so they don't stick out inside or outside. Then with the Pathfinder, I'm going to unite those so they're not separate pieces. It's all one object. Then with the C, so it's hard to see through it, I'm going to change the opacity so I can see where that cut has to go. So I'm going to use that rectangle to cut the ring so that it makes a C. Before I do it, I'm going to reset that opacity. Then I'm going to hold the Shift key and select both the ring and that rectangle. Then I'm going to divide it again. And it groups it, so I have to use the group select. I'm going to select and hit delete. And delete these pieces. So now I've got that C. So I'm going to make a circle, ellipse tool. Imagine where the center of that big circle is. Option, click, start dragging, Shift. I'm going to make that circle. Change that to a stroke so I can see what I'm doing. Bump it over. If I want to be exacting, I was going to use the align, but it would align all of these off. I'm just going to leave that be. So I can take my ABC, use the Shift key, multiple select. I can see that I've got a piece left here. Delete that. Change the color. if I fill this in, and then Object, Arrange, Send to Back, puts it behind. This last element, if you look at it, it's a circle, an oval, and an oval. So in order to make that, and again, I'm going to work with just a stroke so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to imagine where the center of that object is. I'm going to make a circle. I can bump it over if I was off a little bit. Command key so I can deselect. I'm going to make an oval. And then with the with the selection tool, option, click and drag, I can clone it. Okay, these aren't perfect. I'm not worried about perfect. Then I can select those three objects and unite them. And that's that shape. If you want to work out this corner here, you can ease that off. So there's my basic shape. Okay, so if you look closely, this is 3 circles. Option, click, drag, shift, got 1. Option, drag this so I'm cloning it. Clone it again. And select all of that and divide it. So it's all pieces now. Go to the group select, select those pieces, delete them. Okay, I'm going to leave it just a stroke for right now so I can still see what I'm doing. Now with the line tool or the pen tool, I'm just going to click and click where I think this is going to be. Then with the stroke palette, I've got arrowheads. And first click is the left, second click is the right. Make sure you've got the whole thing selected. If you were on the direct select, only one point would be selected and it's not going to work. So I want to come down here and I can add those feathers, and they're too small, so I can increase the scale. If I just hold the button down, it's going to just grow as I go. Okay. Drag this out a little bit. And on the other end, I'm going to put an arrowhead. I'm going to, then with the direct select tool, I can move that to where I want it. And if that's not exactly the right arrowhead, you can play with the different ones. Get it where you want it. Whoa, didn't want that. Okay, so if I need to increase the stroke to match the thickness, I'm going to have to change my scale. Bring that back down. Okay, so there's my arrow. For the arrow to go through the pair, you need two objects. So I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to take the first one, send it to back. I fill in my pair now. You can play with the colors. I'm not too concerned about that. And I want one of these on top and one behind. So the one on top, I'm going to take the arrowhead off. Move that line back. It did not give me my second one. Send that one to the back. Now it looks like it's going through. So for these shapes, you can use the brush tool, the line tool, or you can just draw them with the pen. If you put a round cap on it, then you can play with that. They don't have to be perfect. Same again. Use the option, bring the handle up. Drag select to manipulate that. So this is a corner. That point is broken, so you can manipulate that around and then fill it in. Just get these close. All right, so you can play with the colors and make it look a little bit more like it's supposed to, but that's the general idea. And if this is what you turn in, that's fine. So save this. It's AI_EX3_ your first initial, your last name. Save that, submit it, and we're all set.